It must be very unpleasing to have their American Civil Liberties Union ambassador / human rights champion for the Stand Up for Human Rights campaign by the Office of the United States High Commissioner for Human Rights, lending her voice and support to promote the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and an outspoken advocate for women and children's rights issues, including the domestic violence issues, domestically abusing Johnny Depp. I have heard the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard audio recordings, which mainstream media now reluctantly starts to pick up. I'm quite familiar with these kind of audio recordings, as a friend of mine accidentally recorded one of the most violent tantrums ever recorded on tape. I'm also quite familiar with the type of woman provoking a fight in order to falsely accuse a man. This type of woman gives orders and demands. No matter who her partner is, no matter how hard he tries to please her, no matter how much he loves her, she won't be able to love back. And because she lacks the ability to love or trust, she will start bombarding him with all her projected disorders until he's unable to continue with her. This is when she starts destroying the man. But what she basically does is destroying her own image, which she projected onto the man. Meaning she doesn't see the man himself. She sees a mirrored image and she hates it. Meaning she hates herself. This is a recording of a woman who ordered her partner to write a love song about her. Just when he was writing and recording it, she came in and started her tantrum, almost smashing his fingers by throwing down the piano's fallboard. What she didn't realize is that he was in the middle of recording this song, so the entire tantrum, including her hitting him in the face, was recorded. This recording kept him out of jail and taught her to be cautious with recording artists. Let's hear the most spine-chilling shrieking of a woman trying to get her neighbors to call the police. This is what we would have heard in case Johnny Depp would have recorded one of Amber Heard's tantrums. If he doesn't have the recordings, this is what happens to hundreds and thousands of men around the world, including Johnny Depp. As there's no escape from this hard evidence, it must be very unpleasing to have their American Civil Liberties Union ambassador / human rights champion for the Stand Up for Human Rights campaign by the Office of the United States High Commissioner for Human Rights, lending her voice and support to promote the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and an outspoken advocate for women and children's rights issues, including the domestic violence issues, domestically abusing Johnny Depp, who lost one of his fingers, half his fortune, his reputation, his career, and of course his role as Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean, likely to be taken over by a female actress. Or maybe not, because the general public is growing tired of it all, and they now heard what women are up to, and this time straight from the horse's mouth. The outspoken militant feminist, lesbian, atheist, vegetarian Amber Heard does what any of these women do. No matter who you are, even if you're Johnny Depp, they have got to take the man out and destroy him. They have to gaslight the man, driving him up the wall, provoke fights, hit, attack, and then blame whatever left of the man.
I can't believe you're doing this to me.
Maybe the only proof we have of Amber Heard not being a gold digger would be her relationship after Johnny Depp with the exceedingly poor Elon Musk, whose net worth today dropped to a measly $40 billion and 17 cents, maybe even less. With Jeff Bezos being married, she ended up with a female Tasha Van Rey, which makes me wonder what she was doing with men like Johnny Depp or Elon Musk to begin with. Could it have been money after all? We know the answer to that one. We've got Johnny Depp to thank for a revolutionary high-profile exposure of a female perpetrator.
Sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you.
You can't
I don't know
deck
what
me.
the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are your toes?
What am I supposed to do? Do this?
How are your toes?
I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are.
Oh,
That's the difference
your
between
poor
me and
toes.
you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you start
You
physical
are
fights?
such a baby!
Because
Grow
you-
the fuck up,
Because you start
Johnny.
physical fights?
While 87 CCTV recordings are waiting to be viewed, the public opinion already shifted in favor of Johnny Depp thanks to these 2 audio recordings. It's the first time we hear toxic femininity so abundantly loud and clear in action. And the first time we hear Johnny, now representing most of the falsely accused men, in action as well. Splitting, avoiding, whim-avoiding, declaring his love to her, in spite of just having lost a piece of his body. The conclusion was as good as the best written movie script.
I loved you for so many years, but you know what? You didn't exist. You don't exist. You're not there. You're not there. You were a made up thing in my head.
I've loved you for so many years, but you know what? You didn't exist. You don't exist. You're not there. You're a fucking made up thing in my head. And that struck a chord with hundreds of thousands of men, as Johnny Depp exactly words their own sentiments. Men as well as women at one point in their lives have had an encounter with an Amber Heard type. I have as well. That's one of the reasons I started making these videos. Because it's unbearable to watch the glorifying of these type of women. Especially when you start to notice these type of women are now influencing a whole new generation of young girls. Only a few weeks ago, just before the audio recordings were released by the Daily Mail, I read the comments below Women's Rising 2020, where Amber Heard gave her speech.
In recognizing that times are changing. And they are changing because we stepped out of the shadows and into the light and lifted our voices into a movement. We have inherited far too much to be resigned to accept injustice, and together we are far too strong to excuse it any longer. And the sounds of chanting and thanks, yes, fuck yes, enough is enough, time's up, me too, me too, me too, me too.
And girls were cheering her for they didn't know any better. This woman earns standing ovations wherever she goes. Her mentally ill former star ex is doing everything in his power to destroy her, but she just walks through the world all smiling. You go, girl! What a role model for the modern lady, courageous, funny and strong. For the first time in history, the public made a 180 degrees turn after hearing the leaked audio recordings. And I don't think I've ever witnessed such a radical U-turn in public consensus. I think Amber ultimately chose the wrong man to destroy, as everybody loved Johnny Depp. And it's a tremendous blow for the female empowerment movements. Except for the rare red-headed feminist, there won't be a lot falling for the Amber Heard type of woman anymore. Hopefully. The last positive comment before the audio recordings was, "Way too good for Hollywood. She should go into politics." And indeed, there are plenty of Amber Heards in politics. Imagine what they would do to men. Well, you don't have to imagine anymore, because they are already doing it to men. And have been doing it for at least 30 years. Because this seemed to be the way to go for these women the past decades. After destroying several men, they've earned their stage, and from there they continue. Now you know how these women do it. You know what to expect of newly elected female politicians. If a woman defecates in your bed out of spite and sends you a recording of her feces with the text "Dirty 30", you know you're dealing with a severely insane woman. The Dirty 30 message seemed to have been the final straw for Johnny Depp, who ended the relationship about 3 seconds in the video. But a pooping Amber Heard was the best thing that could possibly happen, as she has lifted the smelly veil in perhaps the most high-profile domestic violence case, which has exposed domestic violence for what it really is. Men and women. And perhaps more women than men, especially if you include coercive control as domestic violence. It is exposed and it will change the general opinion.
Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
What's inside appears to be a genie, which is now out of the bottle. Irreversible. Johnny Depp gave us Captain Jack Sparrow, Elon Musk gave us Tesla, and while Amber Heard was planning to give us more of her crap, she gave us the most important unmasking of this type of women. Narcissistic, borderline personality syndrome, gold-digging, self-centered, aggressive, violent, malignant, completely mental, destructive, mean, nasty, deceiving, cunning, manipulative, dishonest, and basically everything that's bad and has a name and scary definition attached to it. Even when recording the mediation sessions with Johnny Depp, she can't manage to bite her tongue for 1 hour. No, when triggered, these women get ballistic and forget everything and everyone around them. When listening to the recordings, I counted at least 15 mood swings. Another of those black pearls these borderline personalities are blessed with. During the second recording, Amber Heard must have been aware that Johnny Depp was recording. What other choice did he have? What she said has been discussed and scrutinized by countless of vloggers. I could go phrase by phrase as each line tells its own horrendous story. But what's absolutely crucial is the impact these high-profile domestic violence cases have on the world. Because here's your man, the perpetrator, already condemned by the world. And here's your woman, the innocent victim, praised and awarded with the highest female empowering honors, credits and titles. Except it all turned out to be a lie. It's not even a matter of opinion, of choosing sides, of being partisan. It's just an audio recording, and the most radical feminist cannot deny or defend what Amber Heard is doing to Johnny Depp. And this is the start of a revolution, the start of the exposure of these type of women. There goes the Duluth model. It's rendered null and void. It's over. Women have started to expose themselves. Especially in high-profile cases, the mask came off. You can be this narcissistic BPS woman, smashing your partner with your favorite lamp, so that the familiar blood is coloring the entire room scarlet red, and when you, as this woman, are a suspect of domestic violence, death can be a way out, but it will not redeem you. Nor will it make the blood-stained female domestic violence disappear. You can be in politics, puzzling the most phonocentric reckonings together, such as the Alabama vasectomy bill. The past of these women will catch up and reveal nothing but a perpetrator of female domestic violence. Take the teacher away from her classroom, and you still see a radical phonocentrist who is a member of a political party, always advocating man-hating laws. These women, one by one, are voted into the law-making arena. But it won't be long until the entire agenda is exposed. They cannot keep censoring, banning, or hiding it forever. This phonocentric agenda, disguised as feminism, has been invested the globe like a deadly virus. And it could only be done by censoring and silencing men, as if it were a communist regime. When I commented on the Alabama bill, which would require a man to undergo a vasectomy at his 50th birthday and prevents him to have more than 3 children, I saw a lot of reactions and see a lot of men either in sheer unbelief, even in denial, and labeling it as not real or false. The Alabama vasectomy bill is actually the first new proposition since I'm active in doing my videos. And now I see how they go about it. A completely absurd idea is being presented to the public by the phonocentrists. This proposition is so zany and ridiculous that people don't even consider this to be serious. But in a few months it will have settled in the consciousness of the general public. After a few months, more states will be talking about it, and one day a similar act will be legislated, just as the Manspreading Act. And then you have yet another law stripping you from your human rights. We know why men were stupid enough to let it happen. It wasn't a matter of stupidity. It was a matter of being presented with an idea which was so ridiculous, nobody took it serious. The whistleblowers I've talked to the past few months were 100% right. That's right, female whistleblowers, who have been providing me with the most shocking and revelating information, which I have been filming and recording, because they are all sick and tired of it. We all are. In December I started discussing the possibility to make a documentary, exposing and explaining the phonocentric agenda, and many women have been very willing to help and explain how bills such as the vasectomy bill work and why they propose it, and how they legislate such laws, how phonocentric structures family law, and how these structures make men lose by default. I've waited to announce this until I saw sure that all the whistleblowers have gathered all the information to be featured in a 2-hour documentary, in which I will be interviewing key figures, known names, victims, and whistleblowers. The documentary will be as conclusive as the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard audio recordings, without any necessity to be biased, partisan or non-partisan, as the recordings too will speak for themselves. Too many women have been profiting at the expense of real victims, male and female. It's a charade you can only hold up for so long. There comes a time the makeup faking their bruises starts to flake. And I suggest that time is now.
Can you give me 1 minute, please? May I have 1 minute, please? I'll be right back.